The Phillies remind the Cubs how much a star matters, plus our 2-year anniversary of doing this show. Here we go.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making Locked On Cubs your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by Booking.com. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. Ian Happ went 4 for 4 with 2 home runs as the Cubs beat the Phillies 10-2 on Thursday to salvage the series. Cubs now 40-48 on the season. Phillies won 6-4 back on Tuesday and 5-3 on Wednesday as they continue to be a prime example of what having star talent can really do. We're going to discuss that, Sam, as well as preview the weekend series with the Angels and reflect on the 2-year mark of taking over Locked On Cubs. Let's do it.
Yeah, credit Hap for a big July 4th. And, we could maybe talk about, trade stuff and that later on. I just thought this was a really an appropriate time to take a macro view with the Phillies in town and things being the lowest they've ever been in quite a while.
Right.
To just talk about the fact that the Phillies, I thought, are such a great example of what Cub fans wanted the Cubs to be at this point, right? The Cubs were involved in the Bryce Harper sweepstakes, but the Phillies got them, right? They wanted him more. And who's to say the Cubs even really wanted them that bad? A lot of people
I don't
wanted
know if they were even involved.
Yeah, right. They might have not even been involved enough. There were rumors.
Unfortunately.
There were rumors that Harper wanted to come here is probably a better way to say it.
Yep.
Better way to say it. And they kind of just passed on it.
Right. We don't know why. But.
Fans didn't like that they non-tendered Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber's a huge part of the Phillies. Nicholas Castellanos, even though he's not having a great offensive season this year, he's a gamer. You know what I mean? They're just filled with gamers. And last year they came within a game of going to the World Series. The year before they went to the World Series. And I know they haven't won a championship, but with the way the game is designed now, I think sustained success is almost just as impressive as winning a World Series because the playoffs have made things so random. We always talk about the Yankees in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. The Yankees, if you were had the best record in the AL, you went straight to the World Series. There was no DS. There was no randomness. And even they were victims sometimes because they were the best team pretty much every year. Even they were victims sometimes. Like I think it was in 1960 when they lost to the Pirates. They outscored them by 25 runs and lost the series 4-3 or something like that. The third wild card has enabled teams to kind of just, be mediocre and hope they get hot at the right time. But the point I want to make with the Phillies is with them in town and missing some of their biggest guys and still easily winning the series against the Cubs, you just wonder, and if Jed Hoyer were on the show, I would love to ask him, and I hope he gets asked this, a lot as the season progresses. What was the vision for the Cubs? What is the vision for the Cubs going forward? What was the hopes for this year? Like, I think the Cubs plan was always this intelligent spending rhetoric that they gave you. Where Matt, hear me out on this. I think they wanted to have the mindset and the philosophy of a Brewers, of a Cleveland, of a Tampa, of a other small market teams that have had success, but with the financial resources, if they need to plug somebody in or fill a hole, that they could do it. And I think they wanted to kind of have the best of both worlds. And in reality, this is a tweener franchise now. They are stuck in the middle. They have a $230 million payroll with a small market approach, and they're 9 games under 500 or 8 games under 500 after today. And I think going forward, we'll cover the day-to-day stuff the rest of the year, of course. But I think going forward, that's the big question of how can the Cubs get out of being stuck in the middle? How can they change their approach? Because I got to tell you, it's not just through the farm system. There's no Gunnar Henderson down there. There's no 2015 Chris Bryant down there. And I just think that, before the year, Tom Ricketts cited the Diamondbacks as an example. Yeah. And the Diamondbacks are a few games under 500. are the Cubs just an organization right now that every year is going to try and build an 86-win roster, hope things go well and get hot in the playoffs? Or are they actually going to try and be a team like Philadelphia, Atlanta, Los Angeles, New York, Yankees, whoever it is? And I just thought this week it really hit me just how in the middle the Cubs are, because if Jed, and I'll pass it to you after this, if Tom and Jed were to have a conversation, Tom's going to say this: you're supposed to be the guy that can stretch a budget. And I gave you $230 million and we're in dead last. So what is the plan going forward? We used to hear Jed talk about 2 years ago, the next great Cubs team. There's no next great Cubs team around the corner. That's not happening. There could be some good teams. I think this exact team, if it was run out next year, would be better than this, just based on how things have went. But what's the plan, Matt? What is the direction? Because the Phillies have had a plan, and that's to try and win a championship every single year, spend a lot of money, go get guys, and surround their team with star players that are proven guys.
Well, I do think they're stuck in many ways. I think that's a good word choice there. They're at least stuck right now. And many ways, meaning the big picture, I think it's a great question about what Jed's vision is. What would he like to accomplish this year? What did the internal projections cite for the Cubs, especially after the managerial change? The next 3-4 weeks, are they going to be stuck in a place where they're going to have some guys who maybe look to be overpriced, or maybe even look to be carrying some value in the trade market? However, because of that number next to their name in terms of the money paid out or the amount of control, we'll see what happens and what their options are there. But absolutely, the Phillies being here has been a rude reminder of what the Cubs' journey has been and what some other teams really are up to. I think Cubs fans should be jealous of what the Phillies have done. I will admit, I did some stargazing this week, and what is wild about that is some of these guys aren't even available right now for the Phillies, who, by the way, are now 57-30. I like what you said about the farm. I'm not someone that has hugged prospects. I would like to believe that dudes that come up here and graduate, whether that's this summer or next spring or next summer, could have a significant contribution. But when we talk about impactful talents, and when I see the Phillies, I do think about star level talent and how much that can make a difference. And, on this Cubs team, it would be nice to have one. I wonder how much it would matter, how much of a difference it would make to have one star. That's it. And for all the searching that we did for Cody Bellinger over the offseason, and remembering the excitement in December of 22 for Dansby Swanson, these guys aren't up to that level. You could make a case that the Phillies have 6 star level talents. They have 3 that are gimmies: Harper, Turner, and Real Muto. Then they have Schwarber, Castellanos, and Alec Boehm, who just was named to the All-Star team last night.
And then
I want to have one, and they have 2/3 of their lineup.
And don't forget Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, Suarez are.
That's right. The pitchers.
Yeah.
Wait, let's do that real quick. Wheeler, Suarez, Sanchez.
Yeah, and I know Nola.
And Nola.
I don't know what Nola's up to this year. Let me look real quick. But to me, he's a pretty 9-4 the 3-4-3.
They have 10 guys.
And their bullpen's terrific and they throw really hard.
Yo, that's crazy. 10 of 26.
Yeah.
They're 27 games over 500.
Yep.
It was a rude reminder for sure.
Yeah, and I think for me, just as much as it is about the star, it's just about the lack of direction for the Cubs and what the plan was.
Well, it's too bad.
Because think about it. 2024 is an awesome example. I think if we had Jed on before the year, he would say, yeah, he wouldn't say this publicly, but mid to high 80s type team built around defense, built around run prevention, built around enough hitting and enough starting pitching. And before the season starts, we throw a guy at third base that can't play third base. So it was just contradictory to what the plan was. Is this year about developing young players like Christopher Morel and Miguel Amaya, or was this year about winning? Because it just feels like the Cubs have tried to have their cake and eat it too. They've tried to do both in the short term and in the long term. In the long term, they're trying to have a small market mindset. They're trying to be shrewd, but also spend enough money to be really good. And then in the 2024, it's like, we want to develop young players for the future, PCA, Miguel, and Morel, but we also want to win. It's like, you need to pick a direction. You can't do that. You can't pick a lane. You can't have both lanes. You can't drive in the middle of the road. You got to pick a lane. And it just feels like this team is just very lost in that regard. I could rewind episodes in March where I was like, if the Cubs are serious about winning, they're not going to have Morel there every day, because you spent $177 million on a shortstop. His main job is to help you prevent runs, but 25 feet to his right, it's a guy that can't play the position. And oh, by the way, that guy's hitting 196. And then at the catcher position, you can't DFA Amaya because you want to develop him, and he's one of the worst Cubs I've seen in quite a while this season. And then Gomes being bad obviously hurts you, but then you bring up Nito. It's the same thing. Are they serious about winning this year? Are they developing guys? It just seems like they just keep going in the middle. The word is the middle. They're in the middle of everything. Gray areas.
What do you think about? Here's something I wanted to ask you. Is it just me, or is it possible to develop players while also paying for serious talent?
Why wouldn't it be?
The Phillies are an example, the Yankees, the Dodgers, even some small market teams.
I think when you have star power, it gives you Band-Aids. The Dodgers, let's say, if they have a young guy coming up, I'm trying to think, Gavin Lux maybe is a good example. He's really, really struggled for them offensively.
Right.
But it doesn't really matter because they have Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, and Mookie Betts. The Yankees, Anthony Volpe got off to a really good start this year. He started to struggle lately. They're actually struggling as a team. But when they're healthy and you got that middle of the lineup, I think it's hard to do it when you don't have a star guy. But the Cubs, and I think Jed kind of saw what happened with the Cubs in 15 and 16 is not normal. It doesn't normally just happen where you bring up Brian, he's rookie of the year, and Schwarber's amazing in the postseason, and Russell looks great, and Contreras looks great. This level of this crop of players is not that crop of players. I know the former guys didn't age well, but between the years of 15 and 19, they were pretty darn good. There's nobody in the Cubs system that's close to what Chris Bryant was when he came out, So to answer your question, yes, but you need to get some stars.
Yeah, well, especially 15, 16, 17. They had 3 straight Final Fours with the World Series in there.
And the Brewers are doing it without a true star, even though Yelich is hitting like one, but they're smarter than the Cubs. We're not as smart as them. There's a better organization. They've proven that.
Yeah.
But they're 13 games ahead of the Cubs, and we have their manager.
But Yelich is a perennial all-star. And what I found
perennial, maybe I wouldn't use the word perennial, but he used to be, and now he's had a resurgence this year.
Okay. Maybe I'm giving him a little too much credit.
Well, let's look it up. I mean, I just don't. I mean, he had that rough stretch. Yeah, he was a back-to-back All-Star in 18-19, and this will be his first All-Star since.
Craig Counsell actually said with Parkins and Spiegel on Wednesday on 670 The Score. I know you heard some of that interview, Sam, or all of it. But I found actually, so there's a couple things from there. He actually did cite some reasons for the first time for the slide offensively, instead of just being like, hey, we need to score more. Or, hey, 2 runs won't do it. He actually said that. He said, no players are having all-star seasons.
Yep.
We have catchers hitting like pitchers and too many missed chances with runners in scoring position.
He said all 3 of those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I mean,
I was glad to hear it finally.
Yeah.
For as disappointing as it is and the reality of it.
Yeah, the catchers hitting like pitchers thing I've never seen anything like it.
It's crazy. And then Speegs asked him about the 0-1 Arizona Diamondbacks, and I thought it was a great exchange. And citing Luis Gonzalez being in that lineup and having a banner year. And Counsell said, by himself, Luis Gonzalez was creating a massive amount of runs, and he simply took the burden off of everyone else in the lineup.
Yep. I mean, how many times have we said that, right? If you were to go out and land Ohtani, I bet you Swanson's having a much better season.
Yeah.
Just makes life easy. You know what I mean? It just, hey, listen, stars are stars for a reason. Okay. Stars are the guys that get the most money, most fame, they take the most pictures, most autographs, because they got the biggest responsibility. If the team's struggling, we're looking at you first. Okay. They're the stars. With this team, it's everybody feels so much pressure. And I think Bellinger thinks he's a star and not in a bad way. And I think he's pressed because of it. And, whatever. It's more than just a star, but I hear what you're saying.
Ian Happ, 2 homers, a double, 6 ribbies on Thursday. Jamison Tyone, his 5th straight quality start, 7 strikeouts, no walks.
Trades?
7 innings. Happ, last 18 games, hitting .339 with 7 homers, 6 dubs, and 20 runs batted in.
Fastest way to get a star.
Candidates. Yeah.
Fastest way to get a star is to get a ton of money off the books in this deadline and then just beg people to pay him. Ian Happ, I love Ian Happ off the field. He's turned his season around. Somebody wants to pay his $21 million. You know what I mean? And maybe even give you a good.
We might have some reporting for our listeners on Happ and a possible destination at some point.
Tyone, $18 million. Someone want to take that on, please. It's not about.
Well, the way he's throwing, guys make more than 18 M's in winters now.
Please take him.
First easy win for the Cubs since June 22nd when they won 8-1 over the Mets.
Oh.
Before that was way back on May 15th, 7-1 over the Braves. A little bit of trivia before we move on. In the last 10 years, which Cubs player hit the most home runs on the 4th of July?
Ooh.
I'm sorry, last 15 years.
Oh. I remember Bryant hitting one, but if you said last 15, it's probably not Bryant. 2024 to 09. So,
well, yeah. Can I cut in or?
Yeah, cut in, please. I have no idea.
So you already mentioned his name.
It's Bryant?
It is Chris Bryant.
I remember Bryant hitting. I know he hit one against the Marlins on the 4th and the Pirates on the 4th.
I have 4 homers here for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Happ on Thursday, Sam, tied this player who also had 2 July 4th big flies in his Cubs career. He was more of like the 09-10 range. Lefty.
Huh.
He had 2 4th of July homers.
Mike Fontenot?
No.
Oh.
Tyler Colvin.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. How about that?
I got one for you.
I really liked him when he came up.
I got one for you.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Ian Happ's the first Cub to homer for both sides of the plate in the same game since.
I saw that. Victor Caratini.
Yeah, I would have thought Ian Happ would be the answer.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Cool.
I would have thought Ian Happ did it multiple times. But
coming up next, so this stretch until the All-Star break, Cubs are, we said, 9-4. Cubs are 1-2 to start that. You know what would help? Some wins over the Angels. Let's preview that series.
They have to sweep the series. So
today's episode is brought to you by Booking.com. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. You might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city. From hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this baseball season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, maybe even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com, on the site, or in the Booking.com app. Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
Today's episode is also brought to you by eBay Motors. Love eBay Motors. Just passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your car alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Ian Happ with a peak performance on July 4th. He was tremendous. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one car, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your car alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers.
Cubs play the Angels at 1:20 p.m. Central Friday, and you can hear every pitch of the Cubs' hometown broadcast on SiriusXM by searching Cubs on the SXM app. Cubs didn't exactly have a recipe for a hot streak towards this All-Star break, with 3 against the Phillies and then 7 on the road to finish the first half against the Orioles and Cardinals. But there is a bit of a respite in between there, with a 3-game series hosting the Angels this weekend at Wrigley. All 3 games at 1:20. Steele and Canning, Hendricks and Anderson, Wisniewski and Soriano. But I do wonder if someone else will start that Sunday game. Sam, Fangraphs has the Cubs' percent chance to win for the 3 games at 60, 53, and 50, respectively. FanDuel for Friday has the Cubs at minus
185. Oh,
thoughts on this series as the Angels, who are really unrecognizable at this point as a franchise?
Not really much thoughts. Either sweep the series or it's rendered meaningless. To go 9-4 before the break, you have to sweep this series, and then you have to somehow win 2 out of 3 in Baltimore and 3 out of 4 in St. Louis.
And that was part of our premise for the episode the other day,
right? And
it just doesn't add up.
Well, they needed to win this series.
Right,
against the Phillies. They were favored to do so on Friday or on Tuesday, and they didn't. And then Wednesday night's game was just such a. We haven't talked about it yet, but
yeah. What was any takeaways from there besides just the rough play continuing?
Yeah, just a pass ball,
especially at the catcher position.
Yeah, pass ball from Miguel Amaya. Some really poor at bats from the third baseman, and maybe PCA catches that ball at a different time, just a combination of bad defense. I actually thought offensively they did a decent job against Wheeler, because you can't expect to score a bunch of runs against a guy that's that good. And they did a decent job. And, Imanaga, Imanaga has been awesome this year. But my one just pet peeve is just don't throw when Amaya sets up inside to a guy like Alec Boehm, he knows a fastball is coming when you set up before the pitch, because the hitter can feel it. He can feel it. It's in his peripherals. It's like a quarterback that could feel a rush. He can feel the catcher. And most of the time when a catcher's setting up that far in, he's going to get a fastball. So then it means Imanaga can't miss a spot. And the missed spot with the fastball, and he missed it so bad.
Right.
And it was just one of those games. You needed him. Imanaga was good. You needed him to be awesome to win that game. Add in the fact that Miguel Amaya couldn't catch, and that was that. But yeah, I don't have much. Have to sweep the Angels. Friday is a game that is a game the Cubs should win. Steele's been really good lately. Don't think the Angels has seen a lot of him. And then you'll see how Hendricks goes. You have to look at the weather for Saturday. You know how Hendricks is. Everything has to be perfect. Tyler Anderson's a lefty, but the Cubs finally hit a lefty on Thursday, so maybe the tide turned with that a little bit. And then, I think Soriano is just kind of an average pitcher. I really hope we don't have to see Wisniewski pitch on that Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I wonder if they could make a roster move. We'll see. I haven't heard anything
just throw him for like 2 innings as an opener.
Oh yeah, okay.
It'd be fine with that as well. So
right, maybe just go one time through and then he gets
yeah.
All-Star starters have been announced, but All-Star rosters will be announced Sunday.
Great.
Is it Imanaga the Cubs All-Star, or does
Yes.
Steele have a chance?
I think it's got to be Imanaga because Imanaga didn't get injured.
Right.
Does every team have to have an all-star still?
That's still a rule. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got to be Imanaga then.
I think so. All right. Coming up next, 2 years ago
awesome,
today, we recorded our first episode of Locked On Cubs. We do some reflecting, some celebrating before we get out of here for the week. Stay tuned.
Today's episode is brought to you by Tax Network USA. Here on Locked On Cubs, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team, even through the toughest of times. Whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs, it's year-round. You know what else is year-round, Matt? Collection season. Just because tax season's over and has been since April doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals, a tax expert, and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that big parlay, Cubs lose and a bunch of strikeouts, and need help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. That's tnusa.com/lockedon. See the link in this episode description below.
Welcome back to Ibotta here on the show. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, just add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and you get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Join the over 50 million savers and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,000 brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 off for just trying it by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the Apple or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back by using code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Ibotta, IBOTTA, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Well, 2 years ago today is when we recorded our first Locked On Cubs episode. It was following a Cubs Brewers late night tilt on 4th of July, and we published the very next morning. So we associate our anniversary with July 5th, 2022, but really we first fired up the mics on the 4th of July. A lot of memories over the last 2 years. A lot's happened to us personally as well, and on and off the field, so to speak. But Sam, it's just been an absolute honor and privilege, and I've had an awesome experience with you. We really do have a great story to tell, and we started a podcast in August of 2020. No one knew who we were. 60 to 70 downloads, and now we are where we are, and it's crazy. It's crazy. We've worked very hard. I always thought something like this was in there. I would imagine it. I would dream about it. I would play in the sandbox. But now we get to do it for real, and it's been a blast.
I echo everything you say. I just have one question for you. What's happened to me personally since 2022? I know you, but you know what I mean? Like a lot's happened to me often. Like what? You know what I mean? Nothing's happened to me. Nothing. I mean, outside of moving.
Right.
Same job, same attitude. My weight's up a bit. My weight's up.
I was trying.
You were trying to think. There is none. Weight's up. My weight's up a bit.
Based on muscle, right?
Yeah, just been at the gym. Weight's up. But otherwise, I think I'm pretty much the same guy. So,
okay.
You're the one that's married, house, all that good stuff. I'm still here, man. Just waiting for this team to turn things around by 25. But yeah, no, it's been awesome. 2 years. Can't wait. Hopefully by year 3 at this time, we'll be talking about a team that is getting ready to make a big trade at the deadline for a divisional push.
Here's a shot from our first show. I'll also link our first episode in the description.
Oh, man. See what I mean about the weight? Oh, man, look at you.
It's really bad.
You really don't look good at all.
Look how, it's a complete difference.
Well, wait, we look
in
horrible.
Background, graphics, and how we look.
Wait, we look awful.
Horrible.
I look almost sickly, I'd say. and you look like it's like you look almost like it's like 1977.
Yeah, I got to be careful what I say about that. I have to say, I give you a lot of credit for actually telling me the truth. People were feeding me, oh, the mustache looks good. It looks horrible.
Well, I told you that from day one.
Go Cubs.
You did.
I told you that from day one. It never looked good. I'll say it again because it just doesn't seem like you listen to me very much. Your best look is just some scruff facial hair.
Right, which I have now.
No, it's a little bit more than this.
Oh, a little bit more. About maybe like 10 to 2 weeks old.
Yes.
This is about 7 days right here.
Yeah, about 10 more days. And then all of a sudden you shave.
I've been shaving recently, yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I look almost like I don't know what's going on.
Well, that's been your personal change then. You know what's going on now.
I don't know. You used to really not like when I wore that hat during the show too, if I remember.
Is that
correctly.
true? When did I say that?
Well, it just was really off-putting, just like a Dolphins hat, basically.
Oh, I remember that hat.
Yeah, I haven't worn it probably since like Jimmy Carter.
I don't think it was off-putting.
And I haven't worn that shirt in a while. Maybe we should wear the same. Maybe for next time I'll wear the same outfit.
Same stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to do that. No. All right. Well, the Cubs are 8 under, and they need to sweep the Angels just to be able to stay afloat in the deep end before they go to Baltimore, where Gunnar Henderson is gonna probably hit 6 home runs in that series.
Oh my gosh! It's
credit Ian Happ for making our putting a smile on our July 4th. Credit Jameson Tyone for having a really nice bounce back year. Seiya Suzuki was on a bunch today, and awesome stuff.
Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes or a little more here. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast. Again, thank you for making us the #1 destination on all things Cubs. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.